The docking clamps hit with a metallic thunk, jolting Jace from his half-lidded nap in the pilot's chair. He ran a hand through tousled dark hair, let out a yawn, and stretched until something in his shoulder popped. Harbor Station K92, he muttered, peering out the viewport. It loomed like a rusted whale in the void, all steel ribs and blinking lights, orbiting a dusty, half-dead moon. Not the kind of place you expected fine company. But Jace wasn't here for social calls. His cargo bay was a mix of trade goods and questionably legal tech. He had a few crates to drop, a few more to pick up. And maybe, if the stars were kind, a drink before leaving the place behind. The airlock hissed open with the smell of ion grease and recycled air. The dock corridor was dimly lit, with stacks of sealed containers lining the walls. A maintenance droid trundled past, chirping disapprovingly at the scuffed floor. Jace stepped off his ship with his usual swagger, hands in his jacket pockets and a smirk that said he wasn't worried about much. That was when he saw her, leaning against a shipping crate, one boot propped up and a hydrospanner slung lazily over her shoulder. Was a woman? No, definitely not human. She was tall, maybe a head taller than him, with radiant violet skin that glowed faintly under the station lights. Long platinum hair fell in loose waves over one shoulder, and vivid green eyes locked onto him like targeting lasers. Her jumpsuit, if you could call it that, clung to her like it had been tailored by someone with a deep appreciation for form. Torn in just the right places, smudged with oil, cinched at the waist with a utility belt that rode low on her hips. She looked like someone who could fix your ship or knock you out cold with the same ease. "You the trader?" she asked, her voice low and husky with a hint of something playful. "Depends who's asking," Jace replied, flashing his best grin. "Ziri," she said, striding forward and offering a hand slick with oil. "Dockhand. You're late." He took her hand anyway, gripping it firmly. The warmth of her touch surprised him, and the smear of grease she left on his palm amused him. "Well, I like to make an entrance." "Cute," she said flatly, turning on her heel. "Follow me. I'll get you checked in." Jace's eyes followed her stride, confident and fluid. She didn't look back. He liked that. They weaved through the maze of crates and cargo lifts. Ziri moved with purpose, explaining station policies, cargo restrictions, and something about ion leakage. Jace only half listened. He was watching her hands, those strong, capable fingers glistening faintly with oil as she gestured, and wondering how long it had been since he'd been this interested in anyone who could outbench a power loader. At a large steel bench tucked into a corner of the bay, she stopped and reached for her harness. With a grunt of annoyance, she fumbled at the clasps. "Stupid thing's jammed again," she muttered. "Hey, help me undress." Jace blinked. What?" Her head cocked slightly, an elegant brow rising. "The gear. Straps at the back. You do have fingers, don't you?" He chuckled, stepping closer. "I've got fingers. Usually good with them, too." She didn't respond, just turned her back to him. And lifted her hair, revealing the intricately buckled harness hugging her frame. Jace's hands moved to the straps, undoing them one by one. The metal was warm from her body, and the scent of oil and ozone clung to her skin. Each loosened strap revealed a little more of her curve-hugging jumpsuit underneath. His pulse quickened. "Thanks," she said once he'd undone the last clasp, shrugging off the gear with a roll of her powerful shoulders. She turned back, meeting his gaze with a sly smirk. That was thorough. Jace swallowed, trying to keep his cool. "I aim to please." Ziri reached up and smudged a bit of oil onto his cheek with a single finger. "Let's see if that aim holds up." And just like that, she was walking away again, leaving Jace staring after her, his heart thudding. Like he'd just docked with something way more dangerous than a station. The walk through the inner station was quieter, dimmer, lit only by the low thrum of violet strip lights running along the ceiling. Jace walked a step behind her, eyes trying to stay respectful. but inevitably slipping downward to where her jumpsuit was pulled tight against her hips. He was a man of the stars. After all, he'd seen more exotic beauties than most men dreamed of. But Ziri was different. She stopped at a cluttered maintenance nook, the kind of spot dockhands used for quick repairs and stolen moments of rest. A ragged bench ran along one wall, crates of parts sat half open, and a small console flickered with old diagnostics no one had updated in a decade. "Sit," she ordered, tossing him a stained rag. "You've got grease all over you." Jace caught the rag, but made no move to use it. "From your hands, if I recall correctly." "You didn't seem to mind," she said, her smile brief but sharp. He watched as she peeled off her gloves and reached for a nearby canister. With a pop hiss, she sprayed a burst of cleaning foam onto her palms, rubbing it in before wiping her hands half-heartedly on her thighs. The foam hissed and steamed against her violet skin, leaving a slick, oily shimmer instead of cleanliness. Jace raised a brow. "You're making it worse." Ziri leaned forward, setting one knee on the bench beside him. "Better," she corrected, and casually dragged her hand down his chest, leaving a gleaming streak of oil across the front of his shirt. His breath hitched, just enough for her to notice. "Your species gets worked up when touched?" she asked, playful curiosity in her tone. "Only when it's done like that." Ziri tilted her head, mock pensive. "Noted." She sat beside him, close enough that their legs touched. Jace could feel the heat radiating off her skin, warm and steady like sun-baked metal. Her scent, spiced and slightly smoky, mixed with engine grease and something sharper underneath, maybe ozone. "I'm curious," she said after a moment. "You act like you've seen everything. Close enough. But you're still surprised. Off balance." "Ha." Fingers brushed his neck again, trailing down to his collarbone. Another smear. Another shiver. "I'm used to seducing women, not being greased up by them," he murmured, half laughing. Ziri laughed then, a genuine sound that rumbled deep in her chest. "Then let me help you get used to it." Without another word, she straddled the bench and leaned in. Her face was close now, green eyes searching his, lips just a breath away. She reached up, one finger slick with oil tracing the edge of his jaw, then down to his collar. He didn't stop her. Couldn't have, even if he wanted to. "Your heart rate just jumped," she whispered, fingers dipping beneath the edge of his shirt. "Is that good?" "Very," he managed. She smiled. Not cocky. Just knowing. The door slid open with a mechanical ka-chunk, and a crew member stomped past without so much as a glance. Ziri didn't flinch. She just leaned back, peeled her jumpsuit zipper down an inch more, revealing a sliver of deep purple skin and the start of a black strap underneath. Then she stood. "Follow me," she said. "Unless you've changed your mind about undressing." Jace stood so fast he knocked over the foam canister. They took a detour. Ziri led Jace through a seldom-used corridor, quieter and warmer, humming faintly with energy. Pipes ran overhead, glowing with a faint pulse. And the air smelled of ozone and rust. The lighting was lower here, like dusk aboard a dying ship, and everything about it said private. "This part of the station's off-grid," she said over her shoulder. "No cameras. No droids. Just us." Jace's smirk returned, but slower now. "You sure know how to treat a guest. I like to make sure visitors leave satisfied." They stopped in front of a sealed chamber door. It slid open with a hiss, revealing a cramped mechanics bay lined with tools, benches, and a narrow bunk along the wall. The kind of space meant for quick breaks, not overnight stays. But the lights were soft, the air was warm, and the way Ziri turned to face him, expression unreadable, eyes glowing faintly, made it feel like the only place in the galaxy. She stepped in. "Lock the door." Jace obliged. Ziri didn't waste time. She sat on the edge of the bunk, boots planted firmly on the floor, then leaned back on her palms. The way she looked at him, calm, assessing, electric, made him feel like prey she'd decided to toy with before taking the final bite. "I've been watching you," she said. "Since you docked." Yeah. He stepped closer. See something you liked? I saw someone used to being chased. Someone too charming for his own good. And yet, you've got me cornered. Her grin widened. Exactly. She stood slowly, closing the distance between them until there was nothing left but breath and heat. Her fingers slid across his chest, tracing the shape of his muscles through the fabric. You're not afraid of me, she said, almost softly. No. Should I be? Ziri leaned in. Maybe. Then, she stepped back just a hair, and said it. That line, delivered like an invitation, a command. And a challenge all at once. Now please help me undress. And I mean all of it. Jace stared, heart thudding. You're sure? Her fingers found the zipper on her jumpsuit. Very. He stepped in. His hands were steady, reverent, but hungry. He undid the zipper. Slowly, exposing inches of violet skin at a time. The curve of her shoulders. The rise of her chest, her body was sculpted like it had been designed in zero gravity. Every contour lit from within. She didn't break eye contact once. As he peeled the suit down, she lifted her arms to help, skin slick with a faint sheen of oil that made her shimmer in the dim light. It clung to his hands, and he didn't care. He liked the way it made her glow. The jumpsuit hit the floor with a soft SHFF, pooling at her feet. Ziri stood before him in nothing but confidence and a smirk. Now you, she said, reaching for his shirt, her oily palms sliding beneath the fabric. Her touch was warm and slow, gliding across his skin like liquid heat. Every motion smeared. More of her on him, his chest, his neck, his arms. He wasn't sure if it was sweat or oil. Between them now, and it didn't matter. They kissed, finally, with a crash of tension. And relief. Her lips were firm, hot, tasting faintly of something electric. She pushed him gently onto the bunk and climbed over him, their bodies sliding together, slick and smooth, every touch magnified by that faint lubricant sheen. Fingers tangled. Mouths explored. Jace couldn't tell if the heat in the room came from her body or his own. But it built fast. Ziri moved with a mechanic's precision and a lover's curiosity, unafraid, unapologetic, and thoroughly in control. And when she whispered his name into his ear, voice low and smoky, he realized he wasn't the one seducing anyone anymore. She was taking him apart. The overhead lights dimmed automatically, casting the bunk in soft amber. Somewhere nearby, a pressure valve hissed and reset. A familiar sound that blended into the steady rhythm of two synced heartbeats. Jace lay back against the wall, one arm tucked behind his head, the other lazily tracing circles along Ziri's thigh. She was curled beside him, long legs tangled with his, her violet skin, marked with little streaks of oil and him. She looked wrecked and radiant. He felt the same. You always bring first-time visitors into your private bay? He asked, voice a low rumble. She gave a soft laugh. Only the ones who let me smear them with machine grease. He glanced down at the mess across his chest. You do this often? Ziri propped herself up on one elbow. What, seduce off-worlders in a maintenance room? After hours? She pretended to consider it. Not exactly. You're a unique case. He raised a brow. Because I played hard to get. Because you didn't flinch when I got my hands dirty. Jace grinned. That's not all you got dirty. She chuckled and kissed the corner of his mouth, then slid out of the bunk with the kind of effortless grace that only came from knowing exactly how magnetic you were. Still nude, still slick with a sheen of oil and sweat, she walked over to the console and tapped in a few commands. Her body caught the soft glow of the interface, casting golden shadows along her curves. What are you doing? Jace asked, admiring the view without shame. Checking tomorrow's cargo routes. We've got a run to Vega 9. Might need a co-pilot. He arched an eyebrow. Offering me a job? Offering you a ride? She turned. Arms crossed under her chest, smirking. But the job's real if you want it. Pays. In credits, fuel, and long nights. He swung his legs off the bunk, standing. Slowly. You offering room and board too? Only if you don't mind bunking with the crew.